disconnected.
Thumpertalk.com, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about how to prepare your bike for rally raid racing, so get ready. By no means any kind of expert on this. That's kind of the story of why I did this. You know, I'm just an average rider, 50-year-old dad from Irvine. I like to ride adventure bikes, and I'm by no means an authority on rally raid racing. I don't pretend to be. I would highly recommend that you talk to someone who's done this before, someone who's done this a lot, and you can get a lot more information from them than you can from me. I just thought that, hey, you know, I did it, and I'm a regular guy. Maybe you might appreciate kind of the experience of the regular guy doing this, and so hopefully that'll help. We had a viewer name, I think his name is Akil Shivade. I'll put his ID here on the video. He asked, you know, if we could do a video on how to prepare a bike for rally raid racing. So I thought, hey, why not do it here? So I want to take a few moments to walk you through this. The video might be a little bit long. I think that's okay though. I did this other video, it was like 42 minutes long, on how to outfit your adventure bike for off-road. And I thought it might get 100 views, and we ended up getting like 65,000. So who knows, maybe there's a lot of interest in this. So first of all, I have to just thank all the people that helped me make this happen. It was a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of equipment, a lot of gear, a lot of expertise went into this, and honestly I could not have done it on my own. So I just wanted to take a minute to thank some of those people. First of all, Garrett of Garrett Offroad Racing was very much instrumental in helping me get this bike ready, and you know, telling me what it takes to race in a rally, you know, from soup to nuts. And you know, without his help I could have never made this happen. So you know, I'm really appreciative for him and his team and his help, and I can't thank him really enough. Next, of course, is Honda, who loaned us this 450X, CRF450X, which has been an amazing bike. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that here. We also have some other people that helped us. We had Seat Concepts get us this wonderful seat. I'll give you a close-up of that later. And they have this little, these little elastomers in here that basically take the shock out of the vibration of the handlebars, and those were really key for fatigue. They also provided us these impact pegs. They also have this elastomer layer in here, and what that does is it reduces the vibration quite a bit on your feet. It's more likely to keep your boot planted on the peg, which is really important. You know, fatigue on long stages is a big deal, and you don't want to have your butt on a factory seat. This is really plush. It's really been a great thing to have, and plenty of grip on the side for your legs to hold on to your bike in some tough sections there. This bike is totally bone stock, except for the suspension. We had just kind of revalved and resprung for my weight. I'm kind of a heavier rider. I'm about 220 pounds. So we got this done by Konflict Suspension out of Washington. They've been a big help on our adventure bike, and they really know rally raid racing very well. And they're usually at a lot of these rallies helping out with pit support. And then I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Motoz, for their support with tires and mousse. This is their Tractionator Enduro ST, and this is a fantastic tire. The ST stands for soft terrain, and Sonora Rally definitely has a lot of that. So we use this tire in 80-121. I probably, in retrospect, would have used a 90 width tire just to get it a little bit wider. The front tire was great, but just from talking to other guys and looking at other bikes, I probably would have gone with a 90. Now we are running mousse inside these tires. Now mousse, for those of you who don't know, is basically like a foam donut, and it goes in there and it helps protect you from flats, because a flat tire in a rally race is really the last thing you want to have to deal with. So we did run mousse, and we're happy to have the help from our friends at Motoz on that. For many of these rally raid events, for safety, to pass inspection, they want to make sure you have your spokes zip tied or safety wire tied. And I'm not really sure why. I think they're worried about safety. You know, if you break a wheel, if you bust a spoke, it's less likely to come flying out and hit you. or stab you. So they want you to reinforce them right here with either zip ties or safety wire. In stock, except I mentioned the upgraded suspension, but I also had to put a bigger tank on here. So I got this 4-gallon Cherubies tank here. I went ahead and paid for that with my own money, and you know, it was really good. Helped me quite a bit. You know, I'm just getting it unhooked here. We're going to put the stock tank back on tonight so we can get it back to Honda. Setup. So I did mention the flex bars from Fasstco. You know, were a big deal to reduce vibration and fatigue in your hands and arms. I was really glad to have that. We got their integrated hand guards in here, which are very helpful. But I wanted to talk more about the nav setup. I got this navigation tower setup. I believe it comes from Rally Management Services. And this kit will run you, I think, about $750 to $800. And what it comes with is essentially, you know, the mounting hardware that goes on your handlebars. This road book holder. This is where you're gonna put your road book in there, and you know, you can advance it manually, or you can use this button here to advance it or reverse it. And then it also comes with this ICO racing computer up here, which you can toggle between your distance, your cap heading, and your speed. And what goes here is a computer that's about the same size as this one. It's called it's made by a company called RallyComp, and it's basically the brains of the rally. It keeps an eye on you. It tells you where your waypoints are. It tells you if you've hit a waypoint. You can send and receive custom messages like, hey, I've had a mechanical problem, or I need medical help, or whatever. Sometimes if you go way off course, they can see that, and they'll send you a message saying, hey, you need to turn around. But basically that kind of keeps track of where you are, and that goes here during the race. Because that reduced a lot of the fatigue again and some of these mushy, sandy, high-speed sections. And we borrowed this from Garrett Offroad Racing. It's a Scott's damper, and again, it worked really well for us. It's a GPS antenna that comes with it, and this is basically going to give information to the ICO to establish your heading and your speed. It doesn't really have anything to do with the RallyComp computer. The RallyComp computer comes with its own GPS antenna that goes right here on the front fender. And then there's a really cool Iridium satellite tracker and transponder receiver that I mounted right here. You don't see it now, but that allows the organization to send and receive messages. So that would also go here. But this is actually not that hard to figure out. You can Google, I think it's FIM, Rally Raid nomenclature, or symbols, symbology, and you can find a lot of good sources on this. Basically, you're given these 3 fields. Each one of these is called a note. This note is number 129, and they're in sequential order from 1 to whatever. This is synchronized with your odometer, so it's saying at 1.07 kilometers, you're going to keep going straight on this main road. There might be a little road to the right that joins it, and it's also FZ means that it's the end of a speed stage, or a speed zone, sorry. And again, a lot of these symbols are in French because these symbols were developed for the Dakar Rally back in the late 70s, early 80s, and of course that's a French organization. So they're really not that hard to remember. There's a list of them. There's like a flashcard you can study. It really doesn't take that long. So this again would tell me at 1.07 on the odometer, I'm going to keep going straight. I'm going to go right on Boulevard Eusebio Kino, and then I'm going to go ways until I get to Avenue Mar de Cortez. There's a Pemex on the corner, gas station. I'm going to turn left. So basically you get the idea of kind of how this works. You can find more info on this online. I'll try to put up a link for you to learn more about that. Give this a shot. I thought, you know, racing in general was just not for me. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to be riding faster than I'm comfortable and get in an accident and then end up in the hospital. But you know what I did? I just took a rally navigation class put on by the Baja Rally group. I'll put a link here. And I found it was really a lot of fun. And I found that I really wasn't riding any faster than my normal trail pace. And it's because the concentration on your road book is so intense, you know, you can't blow past your turn, so you really have to pay attention to where you're going. You can't really go, you know, 100% of your potential speed, otherwise you're just going to not be able to navigate well. So I did this rally school with Baja Rally a year ago in the summer, and like I said, you know, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt, and I found that I was actually not bad at it, and I ended up winning, or at least finishing first in 2 of the 5 practice stages. So I thought, you know what, this is actually a lot of fun. It's nowhere near as dangerous as I thought it would be. It doesn't appear to be any more dangerous than my normal trail riding, so I thought, you know what, I want to give this a shot. So again, it's something I would recommend highly to you. There's a couple groups out there. I'll put links down like I mentioned before. Baja Rally has their own rally school that I attended. The Sonora Rally does their own rally school. I did that one as well about a month ago, and I really enjoyed it. It gave me a great feel for what it's like to ride in the dunes. And I know a few others do it. Jimmy Lewis Off-Road did one last year, and I'm sure he'll be doing one in the future. And then I know Alex Martins with Konflict. He did his own rally school out of Pahrump, Nevada, and I think that was hosted by Rally Management Services here. I'll go ahead and verify that and put a link on this video for you. These grips have some safety wire on them. That's something that a lot of these rally bikes do. It's not a bad idea. You know, in hindsight though, I think I would have gone with my foam grips that I used on the 990 for the Baja Rally. My hands came out pretty good, you know, calloused, not necessarily blisters, but they were a bit sore. So I really wish I had gone with these foam grips. I think they're called Grip Buddies. I'll see if I can find a link and put that here. But these are a lot better at isolating that vibration. And I got to tell you, I mean, even on stage 5, we were finishing. It was kind of an easy day. We're on this long straight road that, you know, you could just open it wide up and go as fast as you wanted. But it was just so washboarded that I was just shaking my hands so much, and my hands hurt. It was just really painful. So you really want to do everything you can to reduce that pain, the fatigue, etc. So I'd really recommend, you know, these foam grips here. I think are going to work a lot better for rally raid racing. It's wired in. It's best to wire it straight to the battery. There's really a lot of problems in rally raid with the rally comp that really has nothing to do with the rally comp. It has to do with how people wire it on their motorcycles. So you want to make sure you wire it straight to the battery. That's what I did here. There's a I put like a 5 amp fuse in there, but my problem was, you know, when I put the fuse in, it's basically on, and you know, it's sucking juice from the battery. So I found myself in need of a switch. So I had our pit crew guy, Beto, who's amazing. He went ahead and wired this switch in for me here, and down is on and up is off. And that ended up working really well for me. Down on stage 4, my rear moose melted like 10 kilometers from the finish. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, your moose sucks, you need to use this moose or that moose, not the one you used. And, you know, I'm not really convinced that that is true. Moose, like tires, are, you know, very different. I know in the adventure bike world, there's the Kenda Big Block, and before they reformulated their tire to have a stiffer compound, I found that I'd get like 900 miles off that tire. So it sucks, right? Well, actually it doesn't, because it's got really good traction and it's really good for an event. So it just kind of depends on what you want out of that tire or moose. You know, it's going to be really good for a lot of things. And with moose, you know, moose have different feel, different properties. different duration, they're made differently, and some moose honestly give you a really dead, unresponsive feel, and other moose are really supple and responsive. I found the Motoz moose really was supple and responsive, and I think the failure of my rear moose is really solely on my shoulders. I should have brought another moose. I should have changed it because, you know, given a couple things, you know, I'm a bigger rider. I'm 220 pounds. My rear tire I ran was a 110 width, which was a mistake for a couple reasons. One is I think that that narrower width transferred too much heat to the moose and decreased the life of the moose. But it also, I think, really hurt me in the big dunes, because I found that about half the big dunes I could get up, and the other half I had to go around, and going around takes a lot more time. And a lot of people told me, dude, you should have run a 120 moose. It would have helped you in the sand, and it would have dissipated more of that heat. Your moose would have lasted longer. So I think with a better tire choice, the moose would have lasted longer, but I should have brought two moose and changed it, and I didn't. You know, I'm on a budget, and you know, this is my second rally. I'm just learning here, so that's, you know, that's part of racing. And I hope that, you know, this kind of information will help you when you go out and do that yourself. Was just an amazing bike. Honda has obviously a long history, long legacy of racing, especially in Mexico, especially in Baja and Sonora and around the world, and this bike did not let me down at all. It is bone stock, but I found that it had plenty of power, even for my large frame. You know, we ran it bone stock except for the upgraded suspension, and it just performed perfectly. Every morning, you know, I'd reach over, I'd pull this choke out, give it one kick, it'd start right up. I do have electric start. I wasn't using that because I just want to preserve the battery, but even that was fine. People were telling me, oh, you got to upgrade the stator, you know, it's not going to handle that load of your nav system and blah blah blah. Nah, it was fine. I restarted my bike, you know, as many as 10 to 15 times in a stage, especially in the dunes, and the battery was fine. The electric start worked fine. I wasn't kicking it in the dunes. I'm just saying that, you know, in the morning when it was cold, just pull that choke, one kick, and thing fired right up. It's like reliable as anything you'll ever see. So I'm really happy with this bike. Highly recommend it. We just clean and oil the chain. I think we only changed the air filter once, and we checked the oil each time, and the oil is actually fine. We didn't even have to add any, so it's pretty much bulletproof, this thing. It's amazing. Just bone stock. It's what comes from the factory, and that's just what I ran. Honestly, when you get suspension dialed in for your weight, you're most likely never even going to touch there. This is not like some hard enduro race. It's open desert racing, and you know, you're not going to find a lot of rocks that are ever going to be tall enough to even hit that. So, you know, I didn't even bottom out once. It's got really no marks on there. It's got this little mark here. I think that might have been there before though, but it worked fine. I found that I did not need any kind of, you know, extra heavy duty bash plate. So these little seat bolts that go in here, here, let me point there. These seat bolts that go in here, I was told to put a little silicone on there, and it kind of keeps them, it makes them less likely to vibrate out. You don't want to lose a seat bolt in a race or in the sand or anything like that, so I went ahead and did that.